As fun as some of the results have been in the Liga recently, it's back to action in the Champions League, which it means that Barcelona have got to get back into the mode of taking care of business, because if they want to make the top 8, they've got to get all the remaining 9 points to put themselves in the mix there. And at least against Eintracht Frankfurt, it's a team that is at the moment struggling quite a bit, and also a team that Barcelona, going back to 2022, after what happened at the Camp Nou that we're going to get into, should look to get some revenge in this match. Welcome to episode 759 of the Barcelona podcast, brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I am Dan Hilton. Please join me tomorrow for that watch along against Eintracht Frankfurt on BigUp.com. You can become a member for free. You can chat with me. If you got a little microphone at home, you can join the conversation with me, and not only in the chat, but also on the feed. We do the tactics board, scoreboard, all that fun stuff over on BigUp. So join me over there. And if you don't want to miss anything on the YouTube channel or the podcast apps, please subscribe. Help me out on Patreon. You got the merch store just in time for the holiday season. And I hope you're enjoying. Let me know if you're enjoying these Champions League previews and you want more content like this. So with all that out of the way, let's dive into this preview between Barcelona and Eintracht Frankfurt. Let's start where both teams stand. And for Eintracht Frankfurt, where they stand, or I should say where they sit in the Champions League table, is not really the spot that the Germans would like to be in. They've got just one win in the Champions League this season, a 5-1 victory over Galatasaray in the first match day. That had the German side top of the table after one match. But a 5-1 loss to Atletico Madrid, a 5-1 loss to Liverpool, a 0-0 draw with Napoli, and a 3-0 loss to Atalanta in the 4 match days since, that now has them sitting at 28th of 36. In the Bundesliga table, they're in the mix of 6 teams behind Bayern, with 5 points separating 2nd from 7th, and then a jump down to 8th. So at least in the Bundesliga, they are getting good results, and they are in the mix for those Champions League and Europa League spots. They're also the team that, at least in the conversation about world football, are the team that sold Hugo Ekitike to Liverpool and got about 100 million euros to spend, which they did pretty wisely. They replaced him with Jonathan Burkhardt from Mainz, which is probably a good reason why Mainz find themselves at the bottom of the Bundesliga table. They also use that money to reinforce other places, finding a starting right winger in Ritsu Doan from Freiburg, right back Rasmus Christensen from Leeds United, and goalkeeper Mike Zetterer, all of whom are the regular starters. Unfortunately for Eintracht Frankfurt, in this game, they will be missing their target man in Burkhardt, at least until the end of the month and maybe into the new year. Where Barcelona stand, well, they need all 3 points at this point. I think they're certainly in a comfortable spot to be making at least the knockouts, but if they want to make top 8 and avoid that first round, they're going to have to win their final 3 Champions League matchups, which begins here. And they've got to do that without Dani Olmo, but Fermin Lopez is back. We're not sure about the status of Araujo, expect him out, but De Jong is also back, and things are looking pretty healthy at the moment for FC Barcelona. We knock on wood there, but yeah, Barcelona and Hansi Flick seem like they're trending a bit up at the moment as Eintracht Frankfurt continue to either be where they were or trending down. For our tactical breakdown, it's actually going to be a shorter segment than it usually is because Dino Toppmöller, both his credit and also some of his issues in trying to find a winning formula, he does switch it up a lot, and I just wasn't able to watch enough Eintracht Frankfurt to be able to figure out all those different permutations. I have no clue, to be honest with you, what Toppmöller is going to do with his lineup, even based on recent results. I'm not even sure which of his 3 attacking midfielders or 2 of the 3 he goes with. Mario Götze is still, yes, that Mario Götze is still only 33, and he often pulls the strings in the second half of games. Can Uzun is the prized 20-year-old, but he was dealing with a muscle injury as recently as a few days ago and is still working his way back, so I'm not sure how he'll feature. Ferez Xabi is a regular starter, but he's also been used from the bench when Frankfurt start with a more defensive shape. So I guess if he's starting, you can expect they're going to go for it a little bit more, and if he's on the bench to start, I would guess it's going to be a low block. Regardless of the formation they go with, Toppmöller does want to play in his second season a defensive structure that is compact and narrow, and it strikes quickly on the counter, and be willing to control the ball when necessary. But all those features also sound like every team that isn't expected to be as talented as their opponent, and double that when they're away from home. I do wonder how willing they're going to be to press Barcelona, because again, that has been a feature of Toppmöller getting and having the success that he's had in recent seasons. So they do want to get out and press high, but I don't know how willing they're going to be to do that after some of the more recent results they've had, where they've given up a half dozen goals. So I don't really know if those are the tactics that Frankfurt can rely on here. For our lineups, I'm going to make it simple here and try to mirror these two, and I'm going to expect Eintracht Frankfurt to come out in a 4-2-3-1, just based on who is available and what Toppmöller has done since Burkhardt went down. Ansgar Nuff, who is naturally a winger by trade, he has been in the middle with Jean Mateo Bayoya on the left, even though he's not a regular starter. I have a little bit of confidence that Doan will be on the right, and I guess it'll be Götze in the middle of that 4-2-3-1, Behind them, we should see Ilaskira, the destroyer of the two, and Fedas Chabi trying to do his best Pedri impression in that double pivot. At least in the back four, I do have some confidence, not all confidence, but a bit of confidence. I would really be surprised if it wasn't Nathaniel Brown at left back, Arthur Teata and Robin Koch in the middle, and Christensen on the right. The goalie will likely be Michael Zetterer, but Carlos Santos has also gotten some burn this season too, going against Bayern in a losing effort earlier in the season. This side is also full of names you may know from footballing past, either big transfers, international stuff. Mahmoud Daoud is the former Dortmund player. Eli Wahi was courted by PSG before heading to Lens, and then Marseille, and now Frankfurt. And Maichi Batshuayi should still be known for scoring just about a goal every other game for Belgium, and known more for his international accolades than he's had at club level. For Barcelona, Rafinha got the full 90 minutes rest, so I would expect him to be starting. And now Lewandowski did get the full rest, but after struggling the way he did in the week prior, I would think that Ferran Torres, coming off a hat-trick, would remain the starter. And then Lamine Yamal, of course, let's plop him in on the right. I also would choose Ferran Torres here because Frankfurt have struggled with teams that are both talented and can hurt you in your own final third, which is a team like Barcelona. When that press is working, and if it's led by Rafinha and Ferran Torres, you're going to put a little bit of belief in that. You're also adding Fermin Lopez, very likely to the starting lineup again. So yeah, those three against Frankfurt in the form that they're in, you're going to like that press for Barcelona. Then behind them, this is a no-brainer. It's De Jong and it's Pedri. That's pretty easy if De Jong is fully fit. Now, I do think the one rotation will be Balde at left back after that knock. So it'll be informed Gerard Martin at left back, Eric Garcia next to him. I mean, maybe Hansi Flick will have a little bit of fun, and it'll be Eric Garcia deputizing at left back, and Gerard Martin will keep his spot at left center back. We'll have to see. But either way, it'll be those two plus Kubarsi and then Koundé at right back. And if Juan Garcia, who was reportedly having picked up a knock against Real Betis, if he's available, it's him. If not, it'll be Szczesny. Now let's get into the revenge aspect of this and all that ticket business. And this is actually more about the club than the individual players, many of which who were not at the club in 22 when this all went down. So if you remember, 2022, they were still at the Camp Nou. 30,000, yes, 30,000 Frankfurt fans filled the Camp Nou and helped their team knock Barcelona out of the Europa League. So Joan Laporta is not looking for a repeat. So with that, Barcelona have announced strict measures for this match, with all tickets going to club members only, except the UEFA away section. Tickets will be only sent via the official Socies app and not in PDF form. Tickets will be non-transferable. Even prior transfer requests won't be valid for this match. Security will be reinforced with visual checks to stop Eintracht fans from entering illegally, and ticket sales will be monitored for fraud, and any irregularities will be sent to the Disciplinary Commission for sanctions. All that might seem like overkill, but you know the saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And with the presidential election coming up in a few months, Joan Laporta is not looking to be fooled again. For our score prediction, I'm liking Barcelona here. I think they have found something in the last few weeks. And yes, Hansi Flick is exhausted and they are feeling some of that pressure, but Barcelona are responding, especially with Rafinha coming back and Juan Garcia coming back. They're responding to that pressure that is on Hansi Flick, and they're in a good way right now. Meanwhile, Eintracht Frankfurt are coming off a 6-0 loss over the weekend to RB Leipzig, and I just watched a young winger from Leipzig in Jan Diomande rip them apart this past weekend and get a hat-trick. So I do like Lamine Yamal's chances to affect this game in a positive way. I might even be giving Eintracht Frankfurt too much credit here by handing them a goal, but I'm going 4-1 for this one. Barca are allowing both weird early goals and funky counterattacks, so there might be a bit of luck at 1 point for the Germans in this one. Still, 4-1, that does feel like a vote of confidence for the Catalans, so I do think that Barcelona are going to take care of business in this one. I would appreciate if you join me to watch the Catalans hopefully take care of business here against Eintracht Frankfurt on Tuesday. That will be a watch along on BigUp.com. So join me for that one, subscribe to the channel. You know all the rest, and I will see you there. As always, until next time, Sports Barca.